有请各位贵宾准备就座，我们下个场次呢，1分钟之后即将正式开始，谢谢。Please take your seats right now. We're about to begin our next session in 1 minute. Thank you. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We're now in the first panel discussion session of the day, and the topic is opportunities and challenges of fully digitized cable TV. 那接下来呢，我们进入到我们今天高峰论坛的第一个场次的这个综合论坛哦。我们的主题呢是有线电视多元付费方案的机会以及挑战。那接下来呢，我们就请我们的主持人以及与谈的贵宾到台上来就座。And next, we'd like to invite our moderator and also panel speakers to have a seat on the stage. 好，那我们是主持人，还跟这个我们的与谈贵宾还要再一下下，还是 OK 了 ，All right? Okay, let's welcome the moderator for this session. NCC Commissioner Chen-Ling Hong, please have a seat on the stage. 我们首先有请我们的主持人。NCC 洪贞玲委员到台上来就座，有请，我们掌声欢迎。And also joining us for the panel discussion, we'd like to welcome back Mr. Aravind Venugopal, Vice President of MPA. Let's welcome him again. 我们是再次欢迎刚才的这个专题讲师，亚洲传媒伙伴副总裁 Mr. Christopher Lammers, COO of Cable Labs. 美国有线电视实验室营运长 Mr. Derek Choi, Head of PayTV PCCW Media Group, 香港电讯盈科媒体有限公司收费电视业务总裁，有请。And also Mr. Yong-Ju Jeon, CEO of D-Live 股份有限公司执行长，有请。好，那我们接下来时间呢，就交给我们的主持人。
OK， 好，非常谢谢大家的今天的参与哈。那因为我们早上这一场哈，有我们在国外的贵宾哈一起来分享他们的经验哈，所以好，那也容许我用英文，然后先做一个简单的介绍。Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all for being here. I'm Chen-Ling Hong, Commissioner of the National Communication Commission. As we all know, the cable TV industry is being confronted by the challenges and opportunities of the full digitization of cable television, as well as convergence of media technology. Just as our keynote speaker showed us the full picture of the cable industry nowadays. So the diverse and flexible view services on the internet have changed the traditional rules and audience behavior. Obviously, television is no longer the only option for viewers when they have been placed in an environment with multiple screen and multiple choice services. This increasing flexibility of choice when managed rationality is expected to cause a positive cycle that will allow content platform and production to break away from the rigid model of control. In this panel, we are going to explore the new scenario and opportunities of the cable TV industry. So I'm very pleased to welcome and introduce our presenters. We have Mr. Aravind Venugopal, our keynote speaker in the morning, Vice President of MPA, and Mr. Christopher Lammers, COO of Cable Labs, Mr. Direct Choi, Head of PayTV, PCCW Media, and Mr. Yong-Ju Jeon, CEO of D-Live from Korea. So let's give a very, very big hand to our presenters from all over the world. And also at the end of our discussion, there will be about 10 to 20 minutes Q&A to allow our audience and our participants to ask questions or share your opinion. So please feel free to speak out in the end of the discussion. Thank you. So let's welcome our first presenter, Aravind. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hung. First of all, thank you for inviting me to attend and to speak at the session. Just a couple of quick points. I know we were supposed to speak for 10 to 15 minutes, but if I do that, I'll probably put all of you to sleep. So happy to take any questions right towards the end. But we're sort of at this, at least our perspective at MPA is that we're at this crossroads when it comes to pay television across the Asia-Pacific region, and particularly in Taiwan. Referencing back to one of the slides that I put earlier, the cord cutting or cord shaving phenomena has not yet affected Taiwan the way we see it in other markets. And I think that's something to focus on particularly, because unfortunately for a lot of us, we don't see that cliff as we approach it. The cliff looks a little bit like a ramp, and then you reach the cliff and then there's an abyss that follows. In many markets, a lot of us, and when I say us, I mean us industry analysts and us people from the industry, would look at the trends that were coming up, and we would forecast and we say, no, this is 5 years down the line, or this is 7 years down the line. We try and put a number or a date into, as to when this would occur. And that's a fallacy of the issue, right? Because we try and predict when these things are going to happen, and unfortunately, it's a lot quicker than that. In Taiwan's case, we believe that while we have been rather bullish as to how these trends will play out over the next 5 years or so, it could happen in the next 1 to 2 years. And I think that's something the industry needs to prepare for. Because when online video kicks in, and it will kick in, and it will start taking subscriber share and wallet share away from the traditional industry, the industry and in tune with it, the regulators and the government will need to work as one to see how you all play together to protect not just industry, but to protect consumers, and more importantly, to protect the multiple layers that form the sector. So we're talking about content creators, we're talking about production houses, we're talking about the talent, the script writers that all feed into the channels that feed into the PTV operators. It isn't separate units. They all have to play together. And we're starting to see that dismantle in many parts of the region. And unfortunately or fortunately, there will be consolidation. And I say unfortunately, and I use the word fortunately, because it depends on which side of the aisle you sit on. It could be unfortunate if you are an employee that it may lose your job as a result of the consolidation. It could be fortunate if you're a shareholder. And if you're a consumer, you may have a wider choice. Now, how this all plays out, I think only time will tell. I don't think as analysts we can really predict what will happen. I think anyone who says they can see the market and see where this is going, to be honest, is lying. And I sort of probably stop there.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Well, Aravind set this up well for me, so I say thank you, because we are on the other side in the US of intense OTT competition. And maybe we've not fallen off the cliff, but we're certainly on a decelerating trend down with respect to video subscribers. But let me start with a proposition that is fundamentally important to all of us as cable operators, and obviously I'm a bit biased here. We have a highly robust, highly flexible network in the HFC network that we have and as it exists today and will exist tomorrow, with the ability under even DOCSIS 3.0 to begin offering broadband speeds that approach 1 gigabit per second. And when you look at the technology for DOCSIS 3.1, which many of you have deployed, not only 1 gigabit, but multiple gigabit per second downstream and ultimately upstream. So from a broadband standpoint, the content that transits that network, voice, video, data, it's all bits. There's an intensely robust network that allows us to remain highly competitive, including in the video arena. As Aravind mentioned earlier this morning in his slides indicated, when you look at the decrease in video subscribers in the US, that has forced the US operators to become much more competitive and innovative around the video services that are offered over our broadband network, including skinny bundles, including approaches to online and on-demand content, where you see the integration of a Netflix or a Hulu, or indeed, in Comcast's case, one of its competitors, satellite competitors, Sling TV content is integrated into the same basic platform. And from the customer standpoint, it's all presented as though it is Comcast content seamlessly. Together with Comcast's, was their stream service, is now their online service at $15 US for a very fundamentally simple video service, which depends on the existence of a broadband network. So while there is intense competition, and we will continue to see the erosion of video subscribers, that level of erosion we hope decelerates. I'm not an analyst, and I don't know whether that level of deceleration will slow, but we're able to now capture a continued broad-based segment of the population, including millennials, the cord nevers, as a function of more competitive video offerings and a highly robust broadband network that allows us now in the US to maintain a competitive position. In fact, the US cable industry is now about 64% of the broadband competition, broadband customers across the US on the residential side. That will decelerate a bit, but it'll continue to grow, again, because of the intense flexibility of this HFC network that allows us to remain competitive with fiber today and tomorrow. And don't overlook the power of the bundle, which Aravind mentioned this morning as well. It's video, plus it's broadband for those that are in fixed line voice. And we're now actively exploring how we integrate various wireless services into the fixed line network. Those can be regulated, licensed broadband services. It can be Wi-Fi in and outside the home, and how we offer the customer, again, through the advantages of our fixed line network, a continued, highly diverse, more robust set of services, with video still substantially valuable. But together with broadband, together with voice, it could be both fixed and mobile. In-home wireless services is an area of new and highly advantageous competition for the US operators in terms of managing the Wi-Fi experience in the home, which becomes extremely important in terms of high bandwidth services moving from a fixed point, an AP in the home, throughout the home. How can we assure that there remains and continues to be not only well-managed services, but new services that can be managed within the home, whether that's home automation, security, medical devices, etc. There is an opportunity through our fixed and wireless network to take advantage of those as new services, understanding that we will have continued intense competition on the video side and to some degree broadband. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
First of all, thank you, NCC, inviting PCCW and me to share our story in Hong Kong. Hong Kong is a very special place, very small, only 1/10 of Taiwan size, but we have 7.4 million people population, 1/3 of Taiwan. And the broadband penetration is about 98%. The fiber to the home is 70%. So we launched Now TV based on this foundation, and we launched the IPTV back in 2003. As Christopher said, we have to improve our customer experience. So when we launched on Now TV in 2003, we already provide the subscription VOD service because we are on IPTV network. We can do two-way traffic. We launched a lot of interactive service. So in 4 years, we overtake our competitor cable, traditional cable TV, and take the leadership. But over the past 15 years, we launched a lot of new value-added service based. For example, we do the network recording, network PVR. We have the hard disk recording, and we also launched the multi-screen service. We launched an app called Now Players so that our consumers can watch our content outside home because we have quite good 3G and 4G network in Hong Kong, so we can do that. And with all this, we still see the trend is there's downtrend in Hong Kong. And in the past 2 years, there are new OTT competitors coming to Hong Kong like Netflix, and also our free TV operator TVB also launched a OTT service called My TV Supers. So we are not doing good enough and fast enough because in the old days, actually most of the people watching the TV is based on linear. But now we in Hong Kong, because of the OTT competitors, we see the sentiment change and the behavior changing. And most of them changing from linear experience to VOD experience. So we are also seeing these habitual changes. In the past 2 years, we revamp our user interface. It brings a lot of our on-demand contents. We have thousands of hours of on-demand content, but because in the past, the consumer only watch the linear channels. But when we have such libraries, we need to bring it out. So we revamp our user interface and bring the on-demand button on the remote control and also make it easier to find and watch. So in the past 2 years, we see the downtrend a little bit improved. And as shown in the April trend in 2017, we don't see the net trend again. So this year, our management want us to see the growth. So we embrace OTT. We launched our new OTT service too, because in our survey, the traditional pay TV or cable TV or IPTV, they limit it at home. People see it as a big screen experience. A lot of young people just like the OTT because they don't want to watch it at home. They don't want to share with parents. They just want it in a small screen, like the mobile screen or iPad or website. So, and they don't want a big combo with sports, Hollywood movies, or local movies. They just want one interest, one kind of content. But our pay TV cannot offer this service because we always need to higher output to justify all the capex investment, the wiring, these kind of things. So we launched a new service, a OTT, and with this service, the people can subscribe only one content, one category, like the Premier League football. They don't need to sign contract. They can even subscribe day pass to watch 1 day of Premier League football content. This is very important to the market because when they sign up our Now TV, they have to sign up 24 months contract. But sometimes not everybody is hardcore football fans. Most of them are occasional football fans. So we offer flexible ways to subscribe service. So this OTT, because we don't have any wiring requirements, so they can use a very low price to watch their favorite content. And we launched this service in May, and we catch up the wind of World Cup. and the result is very good. We sold like 20,000 boxes in 1 month because we cooperate with Foxconn. Vincent is here, and the Android box is very good, and it helps us to sell our TV content together with the other Android video apps on one box. So this is good for us to have a new growth engine in Hong Kong, and we are still experimenting managing the price between the OTT and the Now TV, because when we price it too cheap, it will cannibalize our pay TV service. Because our ARPUs for Now TV, the average ARPU of sports subscribers is about $400 Hong Kong, and 1,600 Taiwan dollars. So this is very good ARPU, very decent ARPU. It's compared to the US or Canada. So we cannot cannibalize our content. We want to penetrate new segment through the OTT. So this is an experiment. So we are still trying. Hopefully we can see some growth in next year and share with you again our experience. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for Director Choi, and our final presenter, Yong-Ju, please.
Firstly, thank you for inviting me in this cable operators in Taiwan. I saw the diagram in the previous session. I found that almost 80 or 90% of pay TV subscription is still on cable. It's very lucky and happier situation than Korea. I saw this kind of market share diagram of 7 or 8 years ago, cable operator in Korea. Right. I think right now, we in Korea, all pay TV subscription, all pay household is 30 million household. Right now, we are lower than 50. All cable operator is now in jeopardy. About 5 or 6 years ago, all Korean cable operators underestimate the upcoming of IPTV of Korean telco companies. Right now, I think that Korean telco companies very, very aggressive and very big price competition, and this is very hard stage in Korean cable company. The Live is one of Seoul metropolitan-based cable operators. About 5 or 6 years ago, we almost dominated all pay TV subscribers in Seoul metropolitan area. We were very lucrative and we were higher EBITDA. And at that time, we was a big private equity fund acquired us. Right now, our shareholder is very in trouble. And then I was in charge of 2 years ago. My background was from the Korean entertainment side and broadcasting channel side, more content side. And then 2 years ago, I found that we cannot compete with big telcos, the quadruplet. This is very, very difficult to overcome. Right now, in Korean cable operators has handicapped with not combined with a wireless product. So that's why I should totally change my company. CNM, at that time, our company's name was Cable and More, and I have changed the Live, Digital Live, and then I stopped to sell analog, and I started to pull this digitalization, and then I started to change my company identity. I will explain detailed at the afternoon keynote speech. I think all global trend is now, from cable operators' perspective, is we cannot compete with telcos IPTV, and we cannot compete with quadruplay. So right now, we have to think in Korea, Korean cable operators is now are now thinking 2 ways. The first category is the big corporation way. Is the all change it to digitalized and develop more innovative business model and develop more global business model in the adaptive technology. And that kind of way is one way. And another way is the just low product. We return to just selling to very cheap price product. So maybe district reason, reason all cable operators now choose to a very unfortunate way. This is that they would like to be more, they cannot invest and they cannot compete with telco. So some of a regional cable SO is now returned to almost 20 years ago business model. It's very cheap price product. It's very unfortunate. But in the Live's case, I think we have to compete with this kind of a tremendous big competitor, SK Group, LG Group, and KT. They are all very well organized and the big marketing power. So I have changed my company name CNM to DLive. DLive means digital live, and then I adopt the suggestions from Netflix. So we personally launched the OTT set-top box in Korea. As DLive is now struggling with a big telco company, but I think global trend may be not stopped by the IPTV. I think ultimately, I now want or more hopes on future trend on all video market is go to the mobile and OTT. OTT will be more overwhelming in the future. That's the point. DLive would like to be more turned to future company, not like a traditional pay TV company. Whenever I meet with my employees, recently I said to me, you should forget cable operators. We have to be more like a future media company group like that. Like we are OTT post launcher, and we are the we have two big entertainment companies, Sidus and Cube Entertainment. We are a big content provider in global way. I have to change whole mind of our cable operators peoples, but it is difficult, but very slow. Right now, I think this is very good opportunity for your cable operator and Korean operator. And let's share about how can we cope with big enemies or companies like the big challengers. Okay, thank you for inviting me.
Thank you very much for our 4 presenters. So they are very kind to present very shortly to allow more time for discussion. But before I open the time to our audience, please let me try to summarize what our presenters said here. I think here, of course, our topic is to explore the future of the TV industry. And I think from your presentations, we can see we share the same goal, of course, to provide quality content and diverse content and satisfy the needs of our consumers. Of course, at the same time, every company wants to make money, make a good fortune, right? Currently, also in the future, even we are facing such severe competition. But at the same time, the strategies of every company is quite different. Of course, there are some trends, some common trends. First thing we can see the trend of integration. The cable TV company now is going to explore the new world of online video service. And I think the second trend is to cooperate with other countries. Yeah, maybe the cooperation between broadband telecom company and content providers, or traditional broadcasters and cable TV companies. And maybe there is another trend to have the global or cross-country cooperation, yeah, between different corporations. And maybe for our audience or participant, we can also go back to the keynote speech this morning, because I believe that Aravind has provided us a very good basic picture of the global trend and also some useful statistic and the charts of the current situation of the TV industry, including this country from Singapore, from Korea, and Hong Kong, and also the United States, of course, including our country, Taiwan. So maybe we maybe we can generate some questions from the basic charts of the keynote speech. So now, yeah, I'm going to open our discussion to our audience. And of course, there are many participants from our cable TV companies and also our content providers. And of course, our commissioners. So please raise your hand if you want to ask questions or share your opinions. 所以如果我们现在现场的来宾，大家有任何的问题或者是意见，想要跟我们的讲者交流的话，就请大家不要客气。
大家用中文或英文都可以提问，我们现场有同步翻译，没有关系。
对啊，好，或者是对刚刚大家，我刚刚也提到说，我们早上稍早的这个 keynote speech，它其实也提供了给我们大家非常多有用的一些跨国性比较的资讯。好，所以如果大家对早上的我们的专题演讲有任何的疑问或想要回应的话，也不要客气。好，来我们 Civic 的秘书长。
Commissioner Hong and honorable panelists, I'm Claudia Pan. I'm the chairperson of Cable Broadband Institute in Taiwan. I co-work with the cable industries. First of all, I would like to say welcome to Taiwan and thank you for your profound, sincere speech on the stage. Okay. Although as you can see the presentation of Aravind, although Taiwan has the highest penetration of cable services, but we have the lowest price in the market. Okay, we have our issues. Here, I would like to share with you the industry now in Taiwan. We face a couple of challenges. One is, as you can see, the the price cut, the very low price issue. In Taiwan, we have the kind of a culture, the cutting price culture. No matter how many channels, how good the channel, the program is, but we have no rooms to raise our price. That's one of our cultures and one of the challenges that the industry face. Second, I'm very impressed that like D-Live and like Now TV, you embrace the OTT or the multi-screens services. In our industry, yes, operators are seeking the possibility to do the same path, to take the same path. But the other issue is, it seems that the new business model has not found yet. We still work very hard on it. So maybe my question or what we can talk more is, first, do you see any possibility that we can just to break through the concept of the price cutting culture or concept? How can we just to break through the price issue? You know, in Taiwan, there some kind of political issues more to overwhelming the market. So we cannot have the proper price to reflect the value of the program? Secondly, any suggestions for the operators or our industry? How can we just to do more, or any possibility or opportunities to embrace more the like multi-screens, to embrace the more co-work with the OTT services? How can we create the future in addition to the traditional TV service? Thank you.
OK， 谢谢哈，那个 CIBIC 理事长哈，彭理事长，对不起，秘书长哈，彭秘书长的问题哈。How about we join the 3 questions and then we will allow our presenters to think about the questions and answers. 所以我们在2个问题哈，麻烦TBC。
Hi, this is Kevin from TBC. The question I would like to ask is, I know that we have a very big change from the OTT service provider, but in the same time, we are thinking about what we can do next after we do the analog switch off. Some scholar or some people saying that maybe we can provide a la carte service. I would like to know what the a la carte service in the Hong Kong or in the other country. Can they compete with the OTT service provider? That's my question.
So it's about the challenges from OTT, huh? And do we have the third questions? 我们的委员们有没有人想要提问？后面有吗？所以抱歉，想我眼睛看不到那个。
不好意思，
好来
4楼的话可
麻烦
能需要我们工作人员要拿麦克风，不然 OK。因为我们有口译需要听到麦克风才能够翻译哦。我们工作人员是
那麻烦稍等一下，
麦克风拿到上面去。
We will pass the microphone to our audience.
Sorry, I am from Discovery Channel, based in Taiwan. I have one question first for Aravind. During your presentation, you're talking about the estimation of cable fee being flat. And does that is that under the assumption of the price cap, or what do you think it will happen if the price cap of Taiwan's cable fee is lifted? Does that change anything? And also one question for Mr. Direct Choi. What's your key success of keeping your ARPU? Is that through like cutting content fee, or what else have you done to maintain? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. 我们 Discovery 的代表。Okay, now we have 3 questions for all of you. Okay, so who would like to answer? Thank you.
Okay, cutting content fee is always what I want to do, but it doesn't relate to the ARPU, because the ARPU, the price is determined by the market. Because in Hong Kong, we don't have any regulation to limit the price, no ceiling, no bottom. So we can decide the price quite freely. But there's a market force. Though we only have 1 cable competitor in Hong Kong, but we have lots of piracy in Hong Kong, free content. And we have also Netflix, My TV Super. They only charge like $10 US for the service, while we are charging average $23 US. So what we are doing in Hong Kong, if we have to make sure our video quality is the best. So we are the first ones to launch HD back in 2006. And also we are the first one to launch 4K World Cup this year. Even in Asia, only 3 countries launch 4K. So we have to do better than the other competitors in Hong Kong in the forefront. And also it will give the consumer the confidence what they're watching is the best in the class. And also, we keep launching different value-added service. Some we can charge fee. For example, we charge HD fee, we charge 4K fee, and we charge recording fee. Everything that you can think of. And when they have value, then you can charge. So this is the things that I keep lifting up our ARPU. And when something is obsolete, and we launch a new thing. So, so for all the colleagues here, we need to keep working hard, think new things, and charging them. And this is the thing. I think when this is the service you are launching is good and have value to the consumer, they are willing to pay because they cannot find the similar service elsewhere. So I highly encourage you guys to try new things in Taiwan.
Thank you. So, yeah,
in Korea is right now we cannot raise our price. It's very, very difficult to raise. I think the telco's price competition, low price competition, and cash gift, even big cash gift, is very, very dangerous right now. We are nominal prices, full package, more than 200 channels. I think to $20. But in reality, in the field, right now is even some cases more about 10 or 12 something sales and cash gift. It's very difficult to raise our price. It is almost impossible in Korean pay TV market. We cannot raise price we are harsh competition stage right now with the telcos. That's why I escaped the other way. 2 years ago, I launched the OTT set-top box distribution. I made that about right now. 2 years ago, everybody questioned me, but right now we already sold out the 230,000 units. It's a very big amount, a big growth. It's almost more than $20 million US sales volume. And then I educate young generations, even IPTV subscribers. We are entering to go into the IPTV household by selling our OTT set-top box. In our box, I think linear channel program packaging is not important. We would like to show different contents. For example, Netflix. 2 years ago, Netflix with me and Netflix was a very experimental stage. But right now, Netflix is a very strong growth in young generation in Korea. This year, I have made it with the Google Alliance. In Google Store, Google contents will be our OTT set-top box. I think current pay TV competition status, it is impossible to raise price competition in Korea. We have to avoid, we have to cultivate another market. And that's why I ask my employees say that we are not cable-only platform. We are multi-platform provider. This kind of big picture, I think we need a big picture, not specific small price competition or small charging. We cannot compete with the current big telcos. Okay, yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you. And Chris, do you want to address the questions?
I'll see if I can respond to Kevin's question in particular. If you look at video competition in the U.S., we have and have had for some time at least 2 fixed line companies, cable and telco, in most cities across the U.S., plus satellite. So traditionally 3 forms of competition there. There are now 6 virtual cable operators, virtual MVPDs that Aravind mentioned earlier this morning. And they're all well-structured, well-funded companies. Hulu Live is one, the studios, the broadcasters are behind Hulu, Sling, which Dish TV owns, DirecTV Now, which is now part of AT&T, Sony PlayStation View. Those 4 companies all are extremely well funded and providing virtual cable services, OTT, over our broadband networks. And then you get to, as Aravind mentioned, those companies like CBS and HBO Showtime that have their own direct-to-consumer propositions. There are over 100 of those in the US as well. So said differently, there is an extremely vibrant competitive environment for video in the US. And that notwithstanding, because of the flexibility we have to operate, there is no rate regulation in the US and has not been now for some years, defined by the existence of this very, very vibrant competition over multiple platforms, both fixed and OTT. Cable nonetheless still focuses on how it can innovate and remain a serious player in the video market as a function of its ability to invest and reinvest. We don't fortunately have yet quite the same pricing limitations as a purely competitive matter that DLive is facing in Korea as a function of, in particular, 3 highly competitive telcos, all with fixed and mobile. But that said, there is extreme competition, and operators, because of the ability to invest in new technologies and in new solutions, can offer new types of programming, whether that's through on-demand content, whether that's through very small packages of video programming that's price effective, whether it's combining that video content together with broadband in price competitive bundles. All of that allows the operators to remain competitive in the video universe. And then you start looking at what you can do in terms of managing relationships in the home. Fortunately, there is still a good deal of experimentation, a good deal of innovation. We are now seeing through those companies that have small video packages, skinny bundles, that those packages are becoming quite successful, particularly when combined with broadband. And at the end of the day, and Aravind made this point, we will not see 6 or 7 or 8 virtual cable competitors. Irrespective of how well they're funded, they are making little to no money. However, because they are large companies that have a great deal of capital behind them, they will continue to compete for a while. We will see a consolidation of the OTT competition in the United States as a function of pure and simple economics. At some point, and I would use Google Fiber as case in point, if you're not making money, somebody's going to begin questioning, why in the world are you continuing this investment? We're not there yet, but we will see a consolidation across the OTT providers, although that will mean some will end up being presumably stronger. But the fact that there is still a great deal of innovation and dynamism because of the ability to invest unconstrained, fortunately, by rate regulation and anything along those lines, operators are willing to take that risk and find new types of products and services in order to remain competitive in the video universe. And oh, by the way, we've got this tremendous broadband platform as well.
Okay, thank you, Chris. And Aravind?
Actually, between the 3 of them, they've pretty much covered all the points, so I have nothing left to say. But I do have one quick point. It sort of goes back to Cindy's question and Claudia's question, which is, it's a sort of a double-edged sword. If you start reducing the amount you spend on content, your content suppliers eventually will get squeezed to a point where they need to go elsewhere. And we're starting to see that, at least in Southeast Asia now, where particularly in certain markets in Southeast Asia, which is dominated by free-to-air television, the production companies were always paid a certain amount of money, which has remained reasonably stable over the last probably 5 to 6 years for producing content on a per-hour basis. This could be a drama show, this could be a variety show. What has changed in the last 5 years is that when the ad markets were very strong, these production companies were making an upside in terms of if their ratings were doing well, they were getting paid for it, but not to the extent they all thought they could make. In the last 3 years, that system has changed on its head. OTT companies have now entered. And we're not just talking about a Netflix, we're talking about an iFlix, we're talking about a Hook, we're talking about a View, we're talking about a Fox Plus to a certain extent. All of these companies have now entered and have gone after the same production companies and content suppliers that were supplying the traditional cable and satellite and free-to-air markets. They've gone straight to the source, and Netflix has done this in the US. Amazon Prime Video and Amazon is doing this in other markets. They're going to the content suppliers and hiking up the rates. And they're saying, look, we can buy the exact same shows from you. We're happy to fund you. Why don't you come work directly for us? We take out the middleman completely. So what happens then is when your content shifts from one platform to the other, the consumer he or she is going to pay with his or her eyeballs and their wallet. Now, going back to Derek's point on pricing, you know, the ARPUs for pay TV are at a certain amount. I'm talking ex Taiwan right now. But if you look at other markets like the US, every OTT service is anywhere between $5 and $10. And a consumer is not going to just take one service. He or she is going to take maybe 2, maybe 3 services, at which point you're starting to reach pay TV ARPUs. Consumers will and are willing to pay for services provided they're getting the content that they want. Now, in certain markets like Singapore, they do consume that content, except that we have a piracy problem, like I mentioned. What they are not spending on is a monthly service, but they are spending between $100 and $200 on pirate set-top boxes. Now, those boxes will not last more than 1 year. After 1 year, these boxes stop working, at which point they go back into a shop. They do pay $150 to $200 to buy a new box for pirate content. So the content consumption is still fairly strong. They are going for these services. Now, just to give you a personal example, and I'm probably an outlier, not a classic example. I had a pay TV service 6 years ago. I used it for 1 year. I had a contract. When the contract came up, I disconnected it because the interface on the set-top box wasn't great. I'm using an Android phone. Most of you have an Android or an iOS device where the user interfaces are very intuitive. In many cases, the pay TV operators haven't had or aren't keeping up. Now, I love the fact that both Mr. Jeon and Derek are upgrading their boxes and they're going after the target consumer with a better proposition. That's what we need more of. Because the consumers will buy and will pay for content and will pay for services that they can use and are willing to, and there's deep consumption happening there. That, unfortunately, in many markets, and I'm taking Singapore as an example, we can take India as an example, the moment consumers are given a choice, they will shift to better services. They will pay and they will vote with their wallets. I think that's where we need to be a little careful, that in the bid to cut content costs or in the bid to go after your margins, if you stop keeping the consumer in mind, they will shift to other platforms.
Actually, there's one question about a la carte, right?
Okay.
Yeah, I want to share some a la carte experience in Hong Kong because we launched Now TV on a complete a la carte model. Then the consumer can choose any channel they want, but we require a minimum ARPU. For example, if they want to subscribe Now TV service, they need to subscribe, like, for example, $150 Hong Kong, and then they can choose any number of channels. For example, for Star Chinese movies in Hong Kong, back in 15 years ago, it's like $40 Hong Kong, $10 Taiwan. So for $150 Hong Kong, then you can choose maybe 7 or 8 channels. And the a la carte model, the good one is the consumer can only pay for what they want. They don't need to pay for a basic pack, where our competitors only offer basic pack. So at that time, this is a differentiation and also a competitive edge for us. And as time goes by, when we have 180 channels, you can imagine we cannot manage so many a la carte models. At the peak, we have over 200,000 combinations of subscription packages, because everybody can choose their own combination. So we change. We evolve from a complete a la carte to a la carte package. We streamline 180 channels into 15 a la carte pack. Well, we call it pack pricing model. So it works well because for the average price per channels go lower, because we negotiate with content partners to ask for lower CPS, because we promise broader reach, higher reach for them, and so then they can have advertising revenue potential. So we still require the consumer to pay like also $200, and you can choose maybe 3 packs for non-sports. For sports, you have to pay $400, also 3 packs. But one of it is the sports pack, which have the Premier League football. So this helps us to maintain the certain ARPU at the beginning. But our job is not just maintain the entry ARPU. we keep increasing their ARPU. We call our customers like 4 times a year. We keep, because we are the cut pack, they don't have all the contents. Maybe they only have 3 or 4 packs. We have 15 packages. So we keep calling them according to their behavior and sell different packages. And thanks to all the content partners here, because they keep launching new channels, we can put them on a new package. When we have new packages, we can call our consumer that, hey, we have a new Fox drama channels, or we have a new Nat Geo or new beIN Sports channels. Then when the content is relevant to them, they are willing to subscribe. So you can see the consumers' ARPU is keep increasing and increasing. For example, for one customer joined us 5 years ago, the average ARPU maybe, the entry ARPU is $200 Hong Kong. Maybe after 5 years, they will reach $400. So this is what we are doing the business. And I can say 50% of our monthly revenue is coming from upselling, and another 50% from new customers. So in Hong Kong, we doing this to keep up our ARPU.
Thank you. That's very good lesson for us. Actually, yeah, it's a very hard issue in Taiwan, you know, the pricing system and the package system, that how our cable television company can provide. And I think I learned one lesson from your answers. The key point is, if you provide good content and good service, then the consumers will pay money and they will buy your service. So yeah, keep the lesson in mind. And yeah, 我想确实我想就像他们刚刚所提到的像香港的经验我想应该是我们也很多的业者我们的同业应该都有吸收到的一些经验那我想确实也是昨天我们也公布了我们的绿皮书的政策，就是接下来我们也要跟我们的业界的朋友，还有台湾的很多专家学者跟我们的消费者一起来讨论就是到底整个传统的广电产业，也包括今天我们在做的内容业者跟我们的有线电视的业者甚至于是无线电视的业者那我们怎么样共同来面对这个新的状况去提出一些新的想象，然后回过头来是说对住我们的 regulator 来讲那我们要怎么样去回应大家在业界所面临到的这个变迁的环境是不是一方面我们也是思考的是不是给大家更多的营业上面的弹性，那这个弹性可以反映到给我们的消费者跟乐听人更多的选择那当然也很希望的是说，那我们的消费者的选择可以反映到就像刚刚我们这个 Now TV 的代表讲的它可以反映在大家愿意继续的订大家的 service， 或者是愿意付更多的钱，如果大家可以提供很多的 package 的话然后呢也愿意给我们的内容的 channels 或者我们的内容的 provider content provider 也愿意可以给他们更多的收入来投资好的而且我们很希望的是 diverse content 包括 local 的也包括国际的 content。 好所以我们应该有口译英文了Okay. Yeah, I just try to, speak to our companies about the hot issue of pricing and our plan to have the green paper to open the discussion with our local corporations, so that we want to have a flexible, environment for the corporation to operate and try new business model in the future. OK， 那我们因为我们还有时间，所以我们是不是第二轮我们还有针对他们因为我们刚刚其实确实花了蛮多时间在讨论那个 price cap 不过我听到他们意思是如果在这么竞争激烈的环境的话这个那个确实也会因为市场竞争让大家很难在价格上面去做对怎么样的弹性可是可能或许因为大家也会担心嘛，一些 OTT 新的业者跟大家进入这个市场。好，来，我现在就把时间交给大家。来，我们好， 麻烦哈，那麻烦请先说你的名字。
Jimmy Chen, Chen Zhenming from TBC.
Okay.
And as just mentioned, we just finished analog switch off in the past few years. And as operator, I'm working in internet only for 12 years, but I spent very hard to switch from analog to digital. So in my life, I saw all the piracy, illegal tapping will be gone. We all hope, all audience around here, but unfortunately, it's not happening. So some people is helping some very massive. They're stealing our signal and put it on internet and get a very cheap OTT Android-based set-top box for the market and watch our live channel free of charge. And they also claim it's a free lifetime service, just paying few thousand NT dollar. They can enjoy the service for lifetime. Is that happening in your country? And your government are helping you to stop that happening? That's my question.
这两个问题two more questions.
我用中文回应。那Mr. Chris，我们知道他曾经协助台湾的 cable 业者来优化那个网络。那我们现在台湾虽然很高兴已经100%数位化，但是有一些网络的品质还有基带要优化。那我想要问一下 Mr. Chris，你认为在美国用的都是 3.0 或者 3.1， 未来的发展怎么样？以及你认为台湾在网络优化的部分还有一些什么样的成长空间？就这个议题。
Hello, this is Olivia Shea from Fox Network Group, Taiwan. And I have a question for speaker that from the presentation that we see other Asian countries, they have less regulations and limitations on cable TV development. So, but I see the table on the presentation that it seems we have now still some regulations to manage the industry development. So what do you see for the healthy development for Taiwan market? What's your suggestion on the regulation side? Thank you.
Thank you for you all. So now we have 3 questions. So
about
TV, yes.
the free OTT content, I think the situation is similar in Hong Kong and Taiwan, but the situation has improved. I would say for the content, for Korean drama content in Hong Kong the piracy is very fierce, and that's why 3 years ago we decided to change the strategy. We provide offer our Korean drama content for free as well, okay? And we changed the subscription model to advertising model. And we do better than piracy because the pirate side will offer the Korean drama in 8 hours with Chinese subtitles. We offer the content in 4 hours, okay? With Chinese, English, Bahasa, and other content, because we launched this service View, or we call it View, Yellow View. We launched it in Hong Kong first, and then we push it to the pan-regional or Asia Pacific countries, and we received very good feedback. And we also work with the local telco. We bundle with them, and we receive very good advertising revenue. So this is the way we change the strategy to counteract the piracy. That's for Korean drama content. For the Hollywood content, we complain to content partners and tell them, if you allow the piracy in China or Hong Kong, then you can't do any business. And they do some monitoring and also take down some sites. And for the Hollywood movie content, it's much better in Hong Kong. and I think in China too. And also, we work with our content partner to provide express content, because for the US drama in the past, the window is not simulcast. It's maybe 1 week later in the past. And we work with our content partners, and they promise to give us like 24 hours, only 24 hours delays. I mean, 1 day after the US, we call it express window. So we can have a faster window to make sure our consumer watch earlier than the pirate sites. So this is what we did in the past few years to counteract the piracy. And I believe that because we offer superior viewing experience on a big TV screen, so that our consumer can have laid-back experience, sit on the sofa and enjoy the content earlier than the pirate site. So they are still willing to pay. So this is the way that we counteract them.
Thank you for Mr. Tsai and Mr. Jeon.
The first question related to piracy issue in Korea. We call KCC, Korean Communication Commission, has a strong role on the monitoring of market piracy. As you know, in Korea, the Korean drama and Korean variety is very important asset for the country. So therefore, KCC has a range of teams, and every day checking the market situation. And then domestically, our piracy is no problem. But as you know, the China or the Southeast Asia in foreign countryside is I have some worries about that. But also in Korea, the OTT service is right now is very early stage. OTT service on the phone is widespread, but OTT service on the TV is now very, very early stage. So I think until now, PayTV stage is we have no problem on piracy. But in the future, I think if our OTT market is growing, and one individual or some people make use of the broadcasting contents or Korean big drama series, part of clips, if they utilize that kind of piracy, in that case, we will have a strong penalty from KCC, expect. Okay, that's the first question. And second question is the regulation.
One question about the regulation, right?
Yeah, I think until now, pay TV market is strictly monitored by 3 government parties. In Korea, is the Ministry of Science and ICT, and as you said, the KCC, and FTC is also monitoring the company acquisition and company transaction. So traditionally, the cable and broadcaster terrestrial was highly strictly regulated by the Broadcasting Act. It's very traditional. But as I explained, that 5 or 6 years ago, the IPTV was separated promotion law in Korea. Right now, it's an unfair situation. I think now Korean government is now thinking that how incorporate with the IPTV law and the Broadcasting Act law. And right now, the traditional media is now an unfair situation. The telco is very free situation. It's Korean government big task will be, we have to equalize. How can we incorporate? Even we have to study in OTT. Right now, Netflix penetration into market is very big noise in Korea, especially terrestrial, big drama makers. Terrestrial broadcasting is harshly protesting to block Netflix, but consumer side is impossible to block Netflix or Amazon Prime in the future, maybe. Yeah, it's everybody is now worrisome about the broadcasting side, but in Korean entertainment production side, is very happy to procure production money from outside sources, and that's the new opportunity for Korean production companies. That's very complex and ironic situation in Korea.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Jeon. And how about Chris?
I'll start with the question that Mr. Ho asked with respect to increasing the quality of broadband services. I'm going to reframe the question around what one does to remain competitive in the broadband environment. The quality that we're able to provide, that's provided here in Taiwan as well as across Asia and the rest of the world over our broadband networks, is high. The focus is, can we maintain our competitive position based on the technologies and the networks that we now have deployed? And the short answer to that is absolutely yes. The existing HFC networks today, even under DOCSIS 3.0, allow us to deploy close to 1 gigabit per second downstream. In fact, in the US in 2016, the first 3 deployments of 1 gig services were by companies that utilize DOCSIS 3.0 technology. And when one couples that with what we've done with DOCSIS 3.1, which now allows 1 gigabit per second downstream, and then in the second generation will be close to 4.5 gig downstream. The third generation of silicon will approach 7, and then ultimately we'll get to 10 downstream. That's a highly advantageous competitive roadmap as and when your customers are demanding higher speeds. So based on the technology platform that exists now, we are in a highly advantageous position with our HFC network without the need to deploy fiber all the way to the home, which is at the end of the day more expensive, to maintain and in fact lead where that's appropriate with very competitive broadband speeds. In the US now, cable operators pass, of all the US homes, more than 50% with DOCSIS 3.1 capability or DOCSIS 3.0 capability. Said differently, more than half the homes in the US can now be served with 1 gigabit per second services when consumers want them. There are 10 operators across the US that have deployed DOCSIS 3.1, 3 that have DOCSIS 3.0 and offering 1 gigabit per second services. And for the most part, that wasn't done reactively to FTTH from the likes of AT&T or Verizon or Google or CenturyLink. It was done and has been done to maintain the lead from the standpoint of broadband speeds delivered to consumers. So coming back full circle, we've got a very, very highly robust, capable platform consistently with our HFC network, which allows us today to deliver 1 gigabit and multiple gigabit per second services when the consumers need them, or as a function of competitive demand, we need to activate those services to maintain the relationships we have with our consumers.
Thank you, Chris. And yeah, Aravind, you got a lot of questions.
I'm going to be a little careful when I answer Olivia's question, but prior to that, the gentleman from TBC asked a question on piracy. Unfortunately, piracy is like one of those games that we played when we were kids. You keep whacking, I think it was called whack-a-mole. You hit one, it's going to pop up somewhere else. And the pirates are unfortunately very tech savvy these days. You go after it, but the fact of the matter is there will be piracy. So you mitigate it as much as possible. Now, having said that, some of these sort of methods that certain governments in certain countries have followed have actually had an impact. One is going after site blocking. So you not only go after individual sites that host this content and distribute it, so you identify the URL, but you've also got to have a legal system and a regulator that works with you to identify that when these sites then change their URL or change their domain name, you can have a second order that's listed, or the court issues a second order to go after those sites. Unfortunately, we haven't seen too many of those in Asia, to be fair. We've seen that happening in certain markets, but not in many Asian markets. So that's something that perhaps the industry as a whole, along with the government and the various government bodies, need to work together to identify. The second, and which is probably a slightly easier way to go after, is pirate boxes. Like I mentioned earlier on, in Singapore, in Hong Kong, in any country that has high broadband speeds, pirate boxes are becoming an issue. The quantity of these boxes being deployed is mind-boggling. In Hong Kong or in Singapore, if you go to any regular electronics store, and I suspect this would be the case here in Taiwan as well, you can pick up a regular Android box have it reprogrammed to start redistributing services. Now, operators can try and go after them. Content owners can try and go after them. But unfortunately, you need pay TV operators, channel groups, and the regulators and the ministry. And when I say ministry, I'm including the police department. So the Ministry of Interior will need to go work together. That's the only way. You will need to identify where these boxes are being manufactured, how they're making their way into the country, what are their sales spots, i.e. where are they being sold, what are their advertising mechanisms. If they're being advertised on a Facebook or a Google search, you will need to work with the ministry to find out how takedown notices are sent. Unfortunately, there's no easy solution. And we haven't seen many instances where this has worked successfully, but we are starting to see that happen now in Singapore. So in Singapore, the IMDA, the Singtel and StarHub, the two pay TV and cable operators or telcos are working together, along with 2 to 3 content partners. So Fox is also a part of that league, where they're going after these box manufacturers and sites. But more will need to be done. With regards to the question on rate regulation, I believe the answer should be a yes, that we haven't seen many instances of rate regulation across the region. I think back in the day, and I think Chris will have a little bit more insight on the level of regulations that occurred in the US back in the 90s. And I believe sometime when the Telecom Act kicked in, the regulations started changing in 96. That was the Algo era, right? Pre-Algo? Yeah. So the rate regulation started changing. Now, the only market that I can think of off the top of my head where there is rate regulation even today is India. Having said that, I know for a fact that the regulator is examining that, because the market dynamics when rate regulation was introduced and what it is today are vastly different. So they are re-looking at what they need to do, because in India you have wholesale regulations and retail regulations. So it's been challenging. Just a personal opinion that when you have retail level rate caps, consumers will often think this is excellent because they don't have to spend much. And that their pocket is protected. But what impact this has is down the layer. When you're looking at the multiple layers, it affects content production. And I'm not an expert on the Taiwan content market, but from what I hear through secondhand conversations and through conversations with people in the market and outside, the amount of content that foreign companies outside of Taiwan pick up from Taiwan content production or content producers has declined significantly over the last several years. Why? Because the quality is reduced. They're not being paid enough in this market, so therefore they have to try and either reduce their costs, which impacts your scripts, which impacts how much you can pay talent, which impacts how much you can pay directors, and so on and so forth. The second is that when consumers start seeing that the level of content produced and the quality of content produced is going down, they will start to look elsewhere. And this goes back to Mr. Jeon's point, which is the production companies then say, okay, do I work with a third-party provider? And a third-party provider in today's day and age is likely going to be an OTT provider who can pay them bigger sums of amounts. Just my 2 cents.
Okay, thank you for presenters and their answers. 然后因为主持人的工作就是要掌控时间Yeah, I think our participants they still have many questions for you, but unfortunately it's time is up. But yeah, our presenters will stay here with us for all day long. So maybe in the afternoon, if you have questions, or maybe during lunchtime, or yeah, other situations, you can also raise questions. But sorry, I have to close our panel now. And well, just give me a few minutes to conclude our panel. So thank you again for our presenters for their very valuable experience and valuable opinions for our business strategy, and also their opinions on regulation. Of course, there are a lot of things going on. Something changed in the TV industries. Of course, there's something changed in our side, the regulation side. But the several issues proposed in this panel, including the price issue, the tiering issue, and also to the challenges from other platforms and also the piracy issues. And also, I think among these issues, one core issue is to try to balance the difference of regulation of different platforms in the past, how we can balance the difference of regulation to allow more flexibilities of our TV industry or video industry, and try to give our participants, more flexibilities for your operation, and so that we can provide quality content for our audience, and so that in the hope that they will keep paying money to your companies and your service. So yeah, let's give a big hand to our presenters and close the panel. Thank you very
so
much.
Thank you to our moderator and also all of our panel speakers. Would you please come to the front of the stage? We're going to have another photo of all of you. Thank you so much for your valuable input in this panel session. Thank you so much. 我们非常谢谢我们所有的这一次上午的我们的语坛所有的这个贵宾哦，他们跟我们分享的宝贵的经验，谢谢。那我们请我们的主持人以及4位语坛贵宾呢，在一起合照。好，我们是不是再次给他们一个掌声？谢谢。那接下来呢，就是我们午餐休息的时间，请各位贵宾呢到场外领取餐盒哦。我们场内可以用餐，我们下午呢是2点的时候呢会再次准时开始，请各位贵宾呢准时回到会场。Ladies and gentlemen, we take a lunch break right now. We have lunch.